In the world of professional wrestling, where the bright lights of the stage often hide the real pain behind the curtain, there are stars who never got the chance to fully shine. They carried immense talent, passion, and burning ambition, yet fate proved cruel, cutting their careers short in their 20s, a time that should have been filled with promise and opportunity. Today, we look back at the journeys of 10 WWE wrestlers who passed away before turning 30, young warriors who left a lasting mark despite their tragically brief time in the ring. Let's dive right in. This is Wrestling Sphere Go. Lance Cade, a rising star gone too soon. Lance Cade was once seen as one of WWE's most promising young talents of the 2000s. Born in 1981 in Omaha, Nebraska, Cade trained under the legendary Shawn Michaels, one of the biggest names in wrestling history. Under the guidance of the Heartbreak Kid, Lance quickly impressed fans with his powerful, technical style and his rare ability to blend strength with agility, something not often seen among young wrestlers at the time. He made his WWE debut as part of the tag team Cade and Murdoch alongside Trevor Murdoch, a duo that embodied the rough and tough spirit of the American South. The mix of Cade's cold, composed demeanor and Murdoch's rugged, brawling persona created a distinctive chemistry that resonated with fans. Together, they captured multiple WWE World Tag Team Championships and became one of the standout teams of that era. After the team split, Cade was given a major opportunity when WWE paired him with Chris Jericho, one of the company's most complex and psychologically driven characters. It was a turning point that could have launched Cade into stardom, but the pressures of fame and the grueling wrestling lifestyle began to take their toll. Personal struggles, particularly with painkiller addiction, led to his release from WWE and a rapid decline in his career. In 2010, at just 29 years old, Lance Cade tragically passed away from heart failure, leaving behind heartbreak and regret among fans and peers alike. His story stands as a somber reminder of the heavy price of fame, a gifted performer whose light burned bright, but far too briefly. Chris Von Erich, the tragedy of the youngest son in a legendary family. In the history of professional wrestling, the name Von Erich stands as both a symbol of pride and heartbreaking tragedy. The family was regarded as wrestling's royal bloodline, filled with strong, talented sons seemingly destined to dominate the ring. But among them, the youngest, Chris Von Erich, was born into a destiny far different from the rest. Born in 1969, Chris grew up in the immense shadow of his older brothers, Kevin, David, and Kerry Von Erich, superstars who shined brightly in world-class championship wrestling. From a young age, Chris dreamed of standing beside them in the ring, hearing the crowd chant his name just like they did for his brothers. But fate was unkind. Chris suffered from chronic asthma, making intense physical training extremely difficult. Standing only about 5 feet 4 inches, 1.63 meters, and having a smaller frame, he faced tremendous physical disadvantages in a sport built on size and power. Despite knowing his limitations, Chris refused to give up. He trained tirelessly, pouring every ounce of strength into his one goal, to become a true Von Erich in the ring. He appeared in several matches for WCCW in the late 80s, but recurring injuries and poor health made it impossible for him to sustain a long career. Each loss, each comparison to his brothers, cut deeply into his pride and spirit. After the deaths of his brothers Mike and Kerry, Chris fell into a deep depression. Unable to escape the weight of grief and isolation, he took his own life in 1991, just 21 years old. The story of Chris Von Erich remains a haunting reminder that even within the most celebrated dynasties, there are fragile souls consumed by the darkness behind the glory. Gino Hernandez, the arrogant genius and his mysterious end. In the wrestling world of the 1980s, few could match the charisma and magnetism of Gino Hernandez. He was the perfect embodiment of a true villain, arrogant, supremely confident, and captivating enough to make the audience hate him while still being unable to look away. Born in 1957, Gino entered the wrestling scene at a young age and quickly rose to prominence in Southwest Championship Wrestling, where he electrified crowds every time he appeared. With his good looks and rich kid attitude, he brought a new flavor to the heel persona, the kind of character fans loved to despise but secretly admired. Teaming up with Tully Blanchard to form the dynamic duo, Gino became one of the hottest names in Southern wrestling. Together, they not only fueled fiery rivalries but also elevated the art of being a heel to an entirely new level. Their chemistry was undeniable, every appearance drew attention, whether from cheers or boos. After parting ways with Blanchard, Gino revived the dynamic duo concept in world-class championship wrestling alongside gentleman Chris Adams. The two became one of the most iconic tag teams of the era, blending arrogance, style, and showmanship in a way few others could match. At that point, Gino's career was reaching its peak, and many believed he was on the verge of becoming a true legend. Then, in 1986, tragedy struck. Gino Hernandez was found dead in his apartment at just 28 years old. Initially, rumors swirled that he had been murdered due to his alleged connections to dangerous people outside wrestling. However, the official investigation concluded that his death was caused by a drug overdose. The mystery surrounding his passing left countless unanswered questions, turning Gino Hernandez into one of the most enigmatic and ill-fated stars in wrestling history. Mike Von Erich, from heir of hope to a tragic end. In the legendary Von Erich family, where wrestling was not just a career but a generational legacy, Mike Von Erich was seen as the next in line to carry the torch. Born in 1964, Mike was the fourth son of Iron Claw Fritz Von Erich, a towering figure in American wrestling during the 1970s. With the Von Erich bloodline running through his veins, Mike was pushed toward the ring at a young age. Though he didn't have the same size or physical dominance as his brothers, he made up for it with heart, courage, and an unshakable will to prove himself beneath the immense shadow of his family name. Mike made his debut in World-Class Championship Wrestling, WCCW, and quickly won the audience's affection for his sincerity and determination. He wasn't the strongest or most technically gifted, but fans admired his fighting spirit, his refusal to give up, no matter the odds. Just as his career began to rise, tragedy struck. In 1985, after what was supposed to be a routine shoulder surgery, Mike developed toxic shock syndrome, a rare but life-threatening complication. His condition became critical, and for a time, doctors feared he wouldn't survive. Although he pulled through, the illness left him with severe brain damage that affected his memory, emotions, and personality. The once passionate, lively young man became withdrawn and lost. Unable to return to form, and devastated by the ongoing tragedies that haunted the Von Erich family, Mike sank into despair. In 1987, at just 23 years old, he ended his life by overdosing on sleeping pills and alcohol. His passing closed one of the most sorrowful chapters in the Von Erich legacy, a story where glory and grief forever walked hand in hand. Louis Spicolli, the funny soul in a brutal world, gone too soon. Louis Spicolli never looked like your typical professional wrestler. He didn't have the chiseled physique or superhero frame that defined the stars of his era. But what made fans remember him wasn't his body. It was his humor, energy, and genuine love for the business. Born in 1971 in Los Angeles, Louis started wrestling at a young age with a dream of one day seeing his name shine on the biggest stages of American wrestling. He worked for several small promotions before earning his big break in Extreme Championship Wrestling, a company known for its wild, chaotic, and intense style. In ECW, Louis quickly stood out. He wasn't the flashiest or the most dangerous performer, but his charisma and storytelling made fans connect with him. He had a natural ability to make people laugh and cheer at the same time, an underdog whose enthusiasm made him impossible to dislike. His talent and charm eventually caught the attention of World Championship Wrestling, WCW, where he joined as the comedic sidekick to Scott Hall in the infamous New World Order, NWO, faction. Even in a supporting role, Louis' humor and likable personality brought a light-hearted balance to the otherwise intense, rebellious world of NWO. But behind the laughter was a man struggling with pressure and temptation. In February 1998, at just 27 years old, Louis Spicolli was found dead after choking in his sleep, caused by mixing alcohol with painkillers. His sudden passing shocked fans, especially since only days earlier, he had been making them laugh on TV. Louis' death was a stark reminder of how even the brightest, most joyful spirits can be crushed by the darker side of the wrestling world, a tragic loss of a man who made others smile while silently fighting his own battles. Art Barr, the controversial genius who died at the peak of his career. Art Barr remains one of wrestling's most fascinating and tragic figures, a man whose talent, charisma, and crowd control were undeniable, yet whose life spiraled into darkness at the height of his success. Born in 1966, Barr began his career in Pacific Northwest Wrestling under the gimmick Beetlejuice, a lively, comedic character inspired by the hit movie of the same name. His natural showmanship and ability to connect with fans quickly made him one of the promotion's standout performers. But his rise was cut short when Barr was charged with sexual assault, a scandal that all but destroyed his career in the United States. His reputation shattered, and wrestling doors at home began to close. Still, Barr refused to quit. Determined to rebuild his name, he moved to Mexico, where he reinvented himself as the Love Machine, an arrogant, flamboyant, and deliberately infuriating heel. In Mexico's top promotions such as EMLL and later AAA, Barr became a sensation. Teaming up with Eddie Guerrero, he formed the notorious faction Los Gringos Locos, one of the most iconic heel teams in lucha libre history. Their chemistry was electric. Fans despised them but couldn't look away. Together, they revolutionized the tag team scene and seemed destined for even greater success, with major wrestling companies lining up to sign them. Then tragedy struck. In November 1994, Art Barr was found dead in his sleep at just 28 years old. The official cause of death was never publicly confirmed, though many believe heart failure, possibly linked to substance use, played a role. His passing left an enormous void in wrestling and devastated Eddie Guerrero, who often spoke of Barr as his brother in spirit and a driving influence on his career. The Love Machine may have been gone too soon, but his legacy as a performer who could make an entire arena feel something, whether anger, laughter, or awe, lives on. David Von Erich, the brightest hope of a legendary family, gone too soon. Among the sons of the legendary Von Erich family, David Von Erich was widely regarded as the one destined to take their legacy to even greater heights. Born in 1958, David was the third son of Fritz Von Erich, the patriarch who turned wrestling into a family tradition. From an early age, David displayed the full package: size, strength, intelligence, and an extraordinary gift for storytelling inside the ring. Making his debut in the early 1980s, David quickly became a cornerstone of world-class championship wrestling, WCCW. He wasn't just a skilled technician. He had an emotional depth that made fans believe in every move, every struggle, every victory. His matches against icons like Ric Flair, Harley Race, and Jimmy Garvin became defining moments of that era. Ric Flair himself once said that David had all the tools to succeed him as NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the most prestigious title in wrestling at the time. But fate struck cruelly once again at the Von Erich family. In 1984, during a tour of Japan, David was found dead in his hotel room at only 25 years old. The official cause was listed as acute enteritis, but persistent rumors suggested a possible drug overdose, a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. David's sudden death sent shockwaves through the wrestling world. He was on the brink of superstardom, with a future that seemed limitless. Fans mourned not just the loss of a great athlete, but of a man who represented the heart and hope of a wrestling dynasty. To this day, David Von Erich is remembered as the Yellow Rose of Texas, a brilliant star whose light was extinguished far too soon, leaving behind a bittersweet legacy of glory and grief that continues to echo through wrestling history. Rick McGraw, Quick Draw, the tragic talent of early WWF. Rick McGraw was one of the most beloved figures during the early years of the World Wrestling Federation. Though never a top main event star, Quick Draw earned the fans' respect with his high-energy performances, incredible speed, and unwavering fighting spirit. Born in 1955 in Charlotte, North Carolina, McGraw began his career on the independent circuit, where his rare combination of power and agility quickly made him stand out. With his explosive in-ring style and friendly personality, Rick became a fan favorite and was well-liked among his peers. In 1980, he joined WWF, an organization rapidly expanding under Vince McMahon's leadership. Even though he was often used as an enhancement talent to elevate bigger stars, McGraw never treated his matches lightly. Every time he stepped into the ring, he gave it everything, earning the crowd's applause and admiration. He faced some of the biggest names of the era, including Randy Macho Man Savage, Paul Orndorff, and most memorably, Rowdy Roddy Piper. One of McGraw's most notable storylines came during his feud with Piper, in which he was brutally beaten in the ring as part of the WWF storyline. Tragically, only a short time after that episode aired, Rick passed away suddenly in November 1985. The timing caused some fans to mistakenly believe that the on-screen attack had something to do with his death. However, the official cause was heart failure, with reports suggesting that prescription drug use may have played a role. Passing away at just 30, Quick Draw Rick McGraw left behind a legacy of dedication and heart. He may not have held championships, but he embodied what it meant to be a true professional, a hard-working performer who gave everything to the sport he loved. Trent Acid, from indie superstar to a tragic downfall. Michael Verdi, better known by his ring name Trent Acid, was once one of the brightest stars in the independent wrestling scene of the early 2000s. Born in Philadelphia, the home of hardcore wrestling, Trent was drawn to the chaotic energy of combat zone wrestling. There, he rose to prominence with his versatility, daring in-ring style, and undeniable charisma that electrified audiences. Trent's fame skyrocketed as one half of the Backseat Boys, alongside Johnny Kashmere, a tag team that became a cornerstone of independent wrestling. With their youthful swagger, creativity, and fast-paced style, the duo brought a fresh energy to promotions like CZW, Ring of Honor, ROH, and others. Their matches were explosive, packed with high-flying moves and fearless spots that captivated fans everywhere. They weren't just wrestlers, they were symbols of indie wrestling's rebellious spirit. After the team disbanded, Trent pursued a solo career, competing in promotions such as ROH, Big Japan Pro Wrestling, and Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Yet behind the scenes, fame came with heavy burdens. Constant injuries, personal struggles, and the relentless grind of life on the independent circuit began to take their toll. Trent eventually fell into substance abuse, and his addiction to heroin led to numerous legal troubles and derailed what could have been a long, storied career. In June 2010, the wrestling world was stunned when Trent Acid was found dead from a drug overdose at the age of 30. His death was a heartbreaking reminder of how the same passion that fuels greatness can also consume it. The documentary card Subject to Change was later dedicated in his memory, a tribute to a gifted performer who lived and burned brightly, even if his flame was far too brief. Youngblood, from a young tag team legend to a tragic end in the ring. Youngblood was once considered one of the brightest stars in Jim Crockett Promotions during the early 1980s. Born into a proud wrestling family as the son of legend Ricky Romero, Jay quickly proved he wasn't just riding on his father's legacy. With a powerful yet graceful in-ring style and a natural emotional connection to the crowd, he became a fan favorite wherever he went. Beyond his athleticism, Jay possessed a rare charisma that made audiences truly care about every match he was in, something few wrestlers his age could achieve. His name became inseparable from Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat, his partner both inside and outside the ring. Together, they formed one of the most beloved and cohesive tag teams of their era. The duo captured the NWA World Tag Team Championship 5 times, thrilling fans with high energy, technically brilliant performances that embodied the spirit of pure wrestling. Their peak moment came at the first Starrcade in 1983, where they delivered one of the most memorable tag team matches in wrestling history. Sadly, that shining career ended far too soon. In 1985, at just 30 years old, Jay passed away after suffering multiple heart attacks while touring in the Pacific region. Some of his colleagues believed the cause might have stemmed from a ruptured spleen sustained during a previous match, leading to internal bleeding and fatal complications. Though the exact circumstances remain uncertain, his sudden death left the wrestling world in shock. Youngblood's passing marked the loss of not just a gifted performer, but a man whose passion defined him. He gave everything to the sport he loved, burning brightly and leaving behind a legacy of heart, dedication, and pure wrestling spirit. To fans and peers alike, he remains remembered as the golden heart of the NWA's golden era. These stories remind us that every spotlight comes with a price. If you were moved by these journeys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Wrestling Sphere so you won't miss the next powerful stories we bring your way.